1968 Shell 4000 Rally starts at Calgary, Alberta, home of the world-famous Stampede, and runs 4,000 miles across 7 provinces to Halifax, Nova Scotia. 4,000 miles of dust and gravel, sand and sun. A 4,000-mile endurance test for both car and driver. Alberta Highways Minister Gordon Taylor is official starter and flags off the first car, a Volvo from Alberta. This event is the only rally in North America counting towards the World Championship. This year's rally is truly international. An Irishman in an English car, a South African in a Japanese car, Canadians and Americans in Swedish, German, French, and American cars. Tony Fall from England in an Austin 1800 is a top professional driver with many international wins to his credit. Paddy Hopkirk, the winner of the 1964 Monte Carlo, here with his Canadian navigator Mike Carey. Scott Harvey is no stranger to this rally. He placed second overall last year. Here with navigator Ralph Beckman, he's ready to tackle this event in a Plymouth Barracuda for Chrysler Canada. Rally organizer Jim Gunn has this to say about the first leg of the rally.
The first leg is an overnight run from Calgary to Regina, a distance of about 700 miles by the rally route. 3 days before the start, we announced 8 closed sections all along the route. These sections are closed to the public at the time the rally passes through. And there are 3 closed sections near Calgary. These are in the forestry areas of Alberta. Since they were close to Calgary, the competitors were able to go out and practice and make what they call pace notes.
2/10 miles, sharp right.
Pace notes guide the competitors. They tell where the turns are and how fast they can be driven. They are particularly important because this road will be traveled at night at racing speeds. And again, the dust will be hazardous.
5/10 mile, gentle as bend.
The mountain roads are equalizers. They make life difficult for the bigger cars. On all closed sections, the big engine cars must travel at higher speeds than the smaller ones. This handicap means, for instance, the Harvey Barracuda must be 10% faster on every closed section than the Hopkirk Mini in order to meet the target times.
And I think that anyone who achieves the target times that we set is certainly a masterful rally driver. There's no question of that at all.
The first special section in the foothills of the Rockies is 16 miles long, and although it's been wet and muddy 2 days earlier, dust is now a problem, and passing at any time is hazardous. Hopkirk and Carey are penalized 1 point. They've missed their target time by 15 seconds. Harvey and Beckman in the Barracuda is the only car to clean the section. The second section is 23.5 miles of winding mountain roads.
Crest, 60 miles an hour, gentle left.
The third closed section is even more difficult. The Harvey Beckman Barracuda loses 1 point on this section, while the Hopkirk Mini comes through clean. The 2 entries are now tied for the lead. The South African rally champ Ewald van Bergen loses 4 points, and McLennan and Peters pick up 5. Ross and Bird, previous Shell winners in their Datsun, hit a culvert, and this will prove their undoing later in the rally. A rollover stops this Volkswagen, and a few repairs are necessary. But the word is press on, and the all-night drive continues. Dawn and the Cypress Hill special section. Tony Fall in an Austin 1800 is pushing hard. and Ken Pogue in a private entry Barracuda. Paddy Hopkirk is driving with great abandon. He has years of experience in the French Alps, and his tremendous skill is obvious. And although he's tied for the lead, his engine is overheating. Harvey and Beckman in the Barracuda start the Cypress Hills special section. They have to clean this section to stay in front. Cattle have delayed many of the drivers, adding points to their scores. To the Harvey Beckman team, it means 7 costly points. The first day's route is taking its toll. On to Regina, and after 18 hours of punishment, the first rest stop. The 15 minutes allowed for repairs to cars at the Parc Fermé won't be enough for some. Wallace and Quirk and a Saab have tumbled over a 20-foot bank on the first day and are limping back to Ottawa on their own time. Lawrence and Luke, also driving a Saab, have dropped out with generator trouble. It's an omen of things to come. Hopkirk and Carey are now in the lead with 3 points, followed by Harvey and Beckman with 8 points. McLennan and Peters are holding third place with 16 points. Ewell von Bergen, with Paul Manson navigating in a Datsun, pick up 20 points. The second leg from Regina to Fort William, Ontario, covers 20 hours and 920 miles with 2 closed sections. After an exciting night run through the Qu'Appelle Valley where 2 cars roll, dawn brightens the road as the rally heads for the Riding Mountain special section. For the first time in many years, the Riding Mountain special section is dry and smooth, and the famous Buffalo are somewhere else. Harvey and Beckman clean the section, and transmission problems begin to plague Ross and Bird in the Datsun. Although Hopkirk and Carey enjoy a 5-point lead over Harvey and Beckman, they continue to have serious problems with overheating. McLennan and Peters, previous winners of the rally, are holding third place, and another member of the American Motors team, Jones and Medwell, in fourth place. The Sandyland Special Section is a tradition on the Shell 4000. The veterans gear their cars for the long straightaways they know are here.
Timeout on the Corvair will be 2:48.
2:48. You will give him a wave at 30 seconds before. Is that correct? Over?
And a wave at 15. The Corvair has lost his clutch completely. He wants
Doug Jackman and Pat Stiles from Calgary are well prepared. They have an intercom system in their helmets for use in the closed sections. Despite Sandyland's 30 miles of narrow, deeply sanded roads, the cars run flat out. Suddenly, Paddy Hopkirk appears with an extra radiator on the front of his overheated car, and rally officials ponder the car's eligibility. Scott Harvey is still in second place with 8 points, reaching speeds of 135 miles an hour to meet the target time. The paved highway at the end of Sandylands allows co-drivers to take the wheel, while drivers tired from the strain of long hours at the wheel catch 40 winks. Ralph Reed and Robert Sherry from Spokane press on in an older model Porsche. Hopkirk and Kerry, extra radiator in place, finish the second day in first place by a narrow 4-point margin. Harvey and Beckman zero the route and hold down second place with 8 points. The Rambler teams of McLennan and Peters and Jones and Medwell retain third and fourth positions. McLennan runs 9 miles from riding mountain on a wheel rim after a flat tire. South African champion Ewald van Bergen and Paul Manson are fifth with 24 points. Tony Fall and Dennis Johnson roll the Austin 1800, but are able to scramble back onto the road and stay in the competition. On the third day, the rally pushes through northern Ontario to Sudbury. The combination of sharp rocks on the unpaved roads and the high speed on the closed sections is playing havoc with tires, and so far, the teams have encountered numerous tire failures. The rally continues east along the Trans-Canada Highway, and the controversial extra radiator disappears from the Hopkirk-Kerry Mini. But the team loses 2 minutes on the road and drops to a tie for fourth place with Van Bergen and Manson. This gives the Harvey-Beckman team the lead and puts the two Rambler teams in second and third places. Tony Fall has dropped to 7th place. The morning of the fourth day, 53 hours out and 43 more to go. Next stop, 700 miles away in Sherbrooke, Quebec. The route winds through back roads in central Ontario with a brief stop in Ottawa. An irate farmer drives his truck across the road and blocks Hopkirk and Hochroder. Police eventually move the obstacle, but it cost Hopkirk 50 points and moves him to 10th place. Tony Fall and Dennis Johnson are spending every spare minute repairing the damage done when they rolled on the second day. The Hopkirk radiator is back. A quick wash before getting back en route through the States and back into Quebec. As the rally pushes eastward, more and more people gather at the checkpoints. Hospitality, not to mention the scenery, is the keynote. At the end of the fourth day, Harvey and Beckman continue to lead with 8 points. Van Bergen and Manson are in fourth place with 24 points. McLennan and Peters hold second, and Jones and Medwell are third. Hopkirk and Kerry are still in 10th place when rally organizer Jim Gunn meets with officials, and finally the ruling is made. The Hopkirk Mini is ineligible to continue because of the extra radiator. Dawn of the 5th day. Destination, St. John, New Brunswick, 650 miles away. But in between, the Domtar Forest Special Section, where the teams must drive through heavy dust into a blinding early morning sun. Harvey is under heavy pressure. A small mistake at this point can cost him the lead. And the timing clocks, accurate to the second, are unforgiving. He cleans the section. And later the same day, the last closed section of the rally, which winds through the Camp Gagetown military base. Laurent Gibault and Paul Rainville cannot decide which is thicker, the dust or the mosquitoes. Military personnel have supposedly cleared the route, but McLennan and Peters meet 15 tanks on the road, fortunately without incident. Always, there is dust. The end of the day, and the order continues. Scott Harvey and Ralph Beckman are still out in front with 8 points. McLennan holds second with 16 points, and Jones and Medwell third with 18 points. And the strain shows on everyone, especially during the meager 15-minute service stops. "350 miles to the finish line at Halifax. The pressure is really on. Harvey and Beckman have had relatively few problems, and the Barracuda looks as strong as ever. To ensure that the competitors follow the route and the strict time schedule, checkpoints are set up in unexpected locations. Miss one control, and you might as well pack up and go home. And at this point, being a minute late at any of the controls can drop the Harvey Barracuda out of first. The competitors have piped into the checkpoints at Moncton, New Brunswick. The final leg of the rally, 91 hours out, 5 to go. Paul and Johnson have repaired all the damage to their Superland Crab, and if they don't bend it again, will pass final inspection clean. The tense hours, the toughest hours. Harvey and Beckman are pushing hard to stay in front. First, one, then two flat tires complicate matters. But hours of practice and cool heads get the car back on schedule. and Jim Peters hold on to second. Jones and Medwell finish third overall. Gene Henderson places 11th and first in his class. Marcel Rainville collects a bet that he'd finish. Bunbergen and Manson collect fourth. And number 137, Scott Harvey and Ralph Beckman in the Barracuda Formula S, winners of the 1968 Shell 4000, drive into the final checkpoint. 96 hours of driving in 6 days, over 4,000 grueling miles. What a way to get to Halifax.